What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast, brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Sunday, August 31st. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as starting pitcher Carson Whisenhunt was placed on the 15-day IL with a back strain. It will be difficult for Whisenhunt to return this year, considering there's only a few weeks left in the season, and I expect the Giants to go easy on their young top prospect pitcher, so Whisenhunt may be done for the season. In a corresponding move, Kai Wei Tang was recalled from the minors, and he will start today in Colorado. Our other IL placement involves starting pitcher Tyler Anderson, who was placed on the 15-day IL with an oblique strain. Anderson is also likely done for the season due to the type of injury. Oblique strains usually take a few weeks to recover from, and for pitchers, they also need to go through a rehab process. So I expect Anderson not to start again this year for the Angels, as well as on top of the injury type, the Angels are way out of the postseason race. I don't expect them to rush Anderson back from the IL to make a start that really has no consequence on their finish in the standings this season. In a corresponding move, Jose Urena signed a major league contract with the Angels, and he will start in Kansas City on Wednesday. In terms of transactions, we had some waiver claims, starting with shortstop Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who was claimed off waivers from the Pirates by the Blue Jays. He actually spent 2024 with the Blue Jays before he was traded to Pittsburgh at the deadline in 2024. He had been playing third base for the Pirates every day since the deadline, after they had traded Ke'Bryan Hayes. And so to replace Kiner-Falefa, who's likely going to be the utility man for the Blue Jays, the Pirates will send recent call-up Cam Devaney to third base to be their everyday third baseman moving forward. Devaney is a 28-year-old rookie that had an impressive campaign at AAA between Kansas City and Pittsburgh after being acquired from the Royals for Adam Frazier in mid-July. Devaney batted .266 with 20 homers, 5 steals, and a 120 WRC+. So as I mentioned, Devaney will be the Pirates' everyday third baseman moving forward. Next, we have starting pitcher Walker Buehler, who signed a minor league contract with the Phillies. He'll remain in AAA until the Phillies determine what his role is going to be in the major leagues. Recently, he was released by the Red Sox, and so he'll land with another postseason-bound team. So Buehler probably going to pitch out of the bullpen. Taijuan Walker is somebody, which that's interesting there. Taijuan Walker could get replaced by Walker Buehler. We get some name parallels there. I don't expect him to replace him because Walker has actually had a lot more success this year. Taijuan Walker, that is. So Buehler probably going to pitch out of the bullpen for the Phillies when he does inevitably make the roster when they expand starting today in September. And lastly, starting pitcher Aaron Savale was claimed off waivers from the White Sox by the Cubs, so he'll switch sides of Chicago, and he's expected to start today for the Cubs in Minnesota. That's Aaron Savale. In terms of news, outfielder Jack Caglione is expected to be activated from the 10-day IL after missing more than a month with a hamstring strain. Caglione is likely to see time at first base, DH, and the corner outfield for the Royals. Next, we have starting pitcher Andrew Alvarez, who's expected to have his contract selected today to make his MLB debut versus the Marlins. Alvarez is a 26-year-old rookie, and at AAA this year, he pitched to a 4.10 ERA with a 22% strikeout rate in 25 starts. Next, we have starting pitcher Luis Garcia. That's the Astros' Luis Garcia, who's expected to be activated from the 60-day IL to make his season debut and return from Tommy John surgery versus the Angels. Garcia hasn't pitched since May of 2023 in the majors, so this is going to be an interesting start to see what he can do post Tommy John surgery. Next, we have third baseman Sal Stewart, who's expected to be selected from the minors by the Reds. Stewart is the Reds' #1 prospect and the number 31 prospect in baseball, according to MLB Pipeline. He was the 32nd overall pick in 2022, and he's had an impressive campaign between AA and AAA in the minors this year, batting .309 with 20 homers, 17 steals, and a 151 WRC+. Stewart was mainly a third baseman in the minors, but he could see most of his time in the majors at second base, with Matt McLain struggling this year. Next, we have outfielder Owen Casey, who's expected to be optioned to the minors by the Cubs after struggling in his first taste of the majors. Outfielder Kevin Alcantara is expected to be recalled from the minors. He's the Cubs' number 5 prospect, and this year at AAA has batted .266 with 17 homers, 10 steals, and a 108 WRC+. He's probably going to be in a fourth outfielder role, probably playing less than Casey was. And lastly, starting pitcher Luis Severino is expected to be activated from the 15-day IL tomorrow to start in St. Louis. He's missed the last few weeks recovering from an oblique strain. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Sunday, a day in which we had a full slate of 15 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with second baseman Daniel Schneemann, who did all he could, but the Guardians lost to the Mariners. Schneemann went 1 for 3 with a run, a home run, 2 RBIs, and a walk. It was his 11th homer of the year, and it traveled 408 feet at 103 miles per hour. And according to his 88 WRC+, the 28-year-old Schneemann has been even worse than his disappointing debut campaign last year. But everything under the hood this year suggests he's made huge strides at the plate. Maybe the most important of those has been cutting his strikeout rate by 5%, thanks to a more patient approach that has allowed him to put more balls in play. And that's been crucial because Schneemann's batted ball metrics have improved dramatically this year. A 5% barrel rate and 38% hard hit rate last year suggest he overperformed on his already substandard 671 OPS. Sporting a measly 682 OPS this year, Schneemann has been notably unlucky, as evidenced by an impressive 12% barrel rate and having also attained a career high 111 mile per hour max exit velocity. I think an 800 OPS campaign is in Schneemann's future. The Guardians have recognized his improvements at the plate and have been batting him second against righties since the end of July. And if he can maintain consistent playing time next year, Schneemann will be a dark horse breakout candidate in deeper leagues, especially with his multi-position eligibility at second base, third base, and outfield. Lastly, we've got catcher Agustin Ramirez, who helped the Marlins to win in Queens, going 2 for 4 with a run, a home run, 2 RBIs, and a walk for good measure. It was his 19th homer of the year, and it traveled 386 feet at 112 miles per hour. A 92 WRC+ and 0.1 fWAR suggest Ramirez's debut campaign has been underwhelming, but from a fantasy perspective, it's been anything but. Closing in on 20 homers with 11 steals to go with it is pretty impressive, not only from a catcher, but also especially so considering Ramirez spent the first few weeks of the season in the minors. The best part is that there's plenty of room for Ramirez to grow from here. With an eye-catching 117 max exit velocity and an 11% barrel rate, Ramirez's power is legit, and StatCast expected metrics suggest he's been underperforming this year. With the number 3 prospect in the Marlins system and superior defensive catcher Joe Mack on the verge of debuting, Ramirez may be relegated to first base and DH duties next year, but his bat will surely continue to play. And with increased playing time due to his likely new home in the field, Ramirez will be a coveted catcher target in fantasy drafts this offseason. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Sunday, check out the daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Sandy Alcantara, who helped the Marlins to win in Queens, tossing 7 innings, allowing 4 hits and 1 earned run, while walking 1 and striking out 6. He induced 17 whiffs with 30% CSW across 104 pitches, and Sandy has had a roller coaster campaign combining extended hot stretches with strings of disastrous starts. Following a pair of starts in which he combined to allow 11 runs, Sandy is on another one of those hot streaks to close out August, reeling off 4 straight starts in which he's allowed 2 runs or fewer, allowing him to produce a 1.67 ERA during that stretch. On Sunday, Alcantara took down the Mets with his typical high-octane heaters and devastating changeup. Sinkers stayed down or arm side, returning 8 called strikes for 31% CSW, while 4-seamers were saved for lefties, finding a ton of success upstairs to the tune of 7 whiffs and 31% CSW. Weirdly, changeups were saved for right-handed hitters, which is usually not the case. You usually don't throw a changeup versus a same-handed hitter as often, but they still found success with the massive velocity difference between his changeup and his sinker, allowing the slow ball to return 7 whiffs and 36% CSW. Sliders and curveballs didn't do much, combining for 22% CSW, but it didn't matter much because his main 3-pitch mix was devastating. Alcantara's success is heavily reliant on his control, and if he can continue to throw his 4-seamer, sinker, and changeup for strikes without leaving them down the middle, he'll continue his hot stretch versus the Phillies up next. And lastly, we've got Justin Verlander, who helped the Giants to win against the Orioles, tossing 5 shutout innings, allowing 3 hits and 4 walks, while striking out 10, inducing 23 whiffs with 33% CSW across 121 pitches. And Verlander earned the Gallows pull on Sunday, leading baseball with his 23 whiffs. And the old man has still got it, striking out double-digit batters for the first time since October of 2022. Verlander did it in just 5 frames, requiring 121 pitches to qualify for the win, as batters had no problem extending at bats by fouling off his heater or drawing out or earning walks. His fastball was fouled off 18 times in this one, but he still did a decent job of earning swings and misses with the pitch upstairs, inducing 7 whiffs and 29% CSW. The real culprit for Verlander's success were his breakers. Batters were content to watch curveballs spin into the zone and couldn't hit them when they did swing, leading to 5 whiffs and 50% CSW, while sliders found success glove side against lefties with 6 whiffs and 40% CSW. His changeup even chipped in 4 more whiffs and 26% CSW, giving Verlander plenty of weapons against lefties on Sunday. He struggled somewhat against righties because of the ineffectiveness of his sweeper, making him very fastball reliant and drawing out at bats. But Verlander just kept bullying them with his heater despite a mile-per-hour drop in his velocity. The real question now is whether Verlander can finish the final month of the season on a high note. He's recorded a 3.60 ERA in 9 second-half starts, a marked improvement over his 4.70 pre-All-Star break ERA, and it's been supported by a more than 3% increase in his strikeout rate. Verlander has still had a couple of blow-ups in the second half, but I'd be more than okay turning to him in St. Louis next. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Sunday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Emilio Pagan had a scoreless 3-strikeout ninth for his 26th save of the season. Aroldis Chapman recorded his 27th save of the season with a perfect ninth. Pete Fairbanks pitched a scoreless ninth for his 24th save of the season. Andres Munoz is up to 32 saves after his perfect ninth. Kenley Jansen also pitched a perfect ninth for his 25th save. Mike Vassell got his 3rd save of the season, pitching a perfect ninth for the White Sox. Spencer Bivens got a 3-inning save, his first of the season for the Giants. And lastly, Raisel Iglesias pitched a perfect ninth for his 23rd save. And in terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Jeff Hoffman pitched a scoreless ninth up by 4. Calvin Fauché pitched a scoreless 8th up by 4. Cal Finnegan pitched a perfect 8th up by 5, and Daniel Palencia pitched the 9th in a tie game and allowed the Rockies to walk it off to take his 5th loss of the season. Sean Armstrong allowed a run while getting the final 2 outs of the 8th for the Rangers before Phil Maton surrendered a run, pitching the 9th up by 4. And lastly, Tanner Scott pitched the 8th up by 3 and served up a game-tying 3-run homer to Corbin Carroll to blow his 8th save. The Dodgers wound up walking it off the following frame, though. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before I look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Monday, September 1st, my mom's birthday. We've got a shortened slate of 13 games that will begin with the first game starting at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time. In terms of my matchup of the day, I'll be looking at Kyle Bradish versus Dylan Cease. Bradish looked incredible in his season debut and his return from surgery, and Dylan Cease is somebody that has great stuff and makes for a great opponent for Bradish to square off against. In terms of probable starters, we've got 3 guys in the auto starts tier, including Hunter Green versus the Blue Jays, Sonny Gray versus the A's, and Jacob Mizorowski versus the Phillies. Our probably starts tier has 8 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Parker Messick in Boston. Messick has looked really good thus far with his fastball changeup combination, doing incredibly in his first 2 major league starts. He's had great command, but now he'll have to take on the Red Sox in Boston. However, with the success he's had thus far, he should do fine there. I'd also keep an eye out for Luis Morales in St. Louis. He's got a high octane fastball and some decent secondaries, and he should find success against a Cardinals lineup that isn't overwhelming. In terms of hitter suggestions, I'd be looking at Marlins and Nationals hitters in Nationals Park on Monday. We'll see Freddie Tarnok open for the Marlins, and he'll square off against Andrew Alvarez, who's making his major league debut. So we could see some fireworks in our nation's capital on Monday. I'd also look at Angels hitters versus Luis Garcia in his return from Tommy John surgery in Daikin Park. Garcia obviously returning from a very invasive surgery, so Angels hitters may be able to take advantage of him in his return. And lastly, I'll target Giants and Rockies hitters in Coors Field. Pretty self-explanatory, best hitters ballpark in baseball. The pitching matchup we'll see is Kai-Wei Tang versus Chase Dolander, so target some left-handed hitting, Rockies and Giants. Now we'll close things out with our relievers to watch. Jeff Hoffman has pitched on back-to-back days, but so has Seranthony Dominguez. So we could see Yariel Rodriguez get a save for the Blue Jays. Kenley Jansen has pitched on back-to-back days, so Reed Detmers should be the temporary closer on Monday for the Angels. Raisel Iglesias has pitched on back-to-back days, so Pierce Johnson or Dylan Lee could get a save opportunity for the Braves. Calvin Fauché has pitched on back-to-back days and in 3 of the past 4, so Ronnie Henriquez or Tyler Phillips should be the go-to option for the Marlins. Daniel Palencia has pitched on back-to-back days in 3 of the past 4 as well, so Andrew Kittredge is probably your best bet at a save out of Chicago. And lastly, Jojo Romero is still recovering from pitching 3 days in a row. So Riley O'Brien should be the Cardinals closer on Monday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.